The world was calm until the day the sky changed. It started as a faint glow far above the clouds, like a new star appearing in the daytime. At first, people thought it was just a strange comet or a piece of space junk falling toward Earth. But within hours, every news channel in every country had the same headline: Unknown object enters Earth's orbit. Governments called emergency meetings. Scientists scrambled for answers. Nobody knew what it was or who had sent it. The object was enormous, dark, and silent, floating high above the planet like a shadow waiting to fall. On the streets of New York, people stopped to stare at the sky. A little boy tugged on his father's sleeve. "Dad, is it a spaceship?" the boy asked. The man didn't answer, didn't know. Across the globe, fear spread faster than the news. Social media exploded with theories: aliens, secret weapons, doomsday predictions. But no one was ready for what came next. Hours later, a deep, unnatural sound rolled across every TV, every phone, every radio on Earth. A voice followed, cold and mechanical, speaking in perfect human language. "This is your only warning. Surrender your planet, or perish." Millions froze where they stood, listening in terror. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't a misunderstanding. Something powerful, something not from Earth, was here, and it wanted control. In the White House Situation Room, U.S. military leaders stared at the screen in silence. A blurry image showed a massive alien fleet hanging in orbit like vultures circling prey. "They're not asking," one general muttered. "They're promising." Another man slammed his fist on the table. "Can't surrender Earth. We fight." But no one knew if humanity even stood a chance. The first attack came at midnight. A huge alien warship broke formation and descended toward the International Space Station. Astronauts aboard barely had time to send a warning before a blinding flash lit up the sky. The station exploded into pieces, raining fire across the atmosphere. Billions on Earth watched live broadcasts of the destruction, horrified and helpless. In London, news anchors spoke in shaking voices. "Ladies and gentlemen, the aliens have destroyed our space station. There are no survivors." People screamed. Cars stopped in the streets. Families hugged each other, afraid the next attack would target their cities. At a military base in Nevada, a young communications officer stared at his monitor as new messages came in from the alien fleet. "They've sent another transmission," he said, voice trembling. "Same words as before: surrender or perish." His commander leaned over his shoulder, fists clenched. "Patch it through." The alien voice boomed again, colder this time. "Your resistance is meaningless. Kneel or be erased from existence." The room fell silent. Every soldier there understood what was at stake. Humanity wasn't facing a single ship or a small scouting party. This was an invasion force, a fleet large enough to wipe out entire civilizations. And it believed Earth would be an easy conquest. But not everyone was ready to give up. In a hidden bunker under Washington, D.C., world leaders argued furiously. "We can't fight them," shouted one politician. "They destroyed a space station like it was nothing. If we provoke them, they'll burn the whole planet. And if we surrender," replied a general sharply, "they'll enslave us or worse. We have no choice but to resist." The president raised a hand, silencing the room. Her face was pale but determined. "We send a message," she said. "We tell them this is not a planet that surrenders." A young tech officer hesitated. "Ma'am, if we do that, they'll attack." The president looked straight at him. "They already have." Meanwhile, in a small apartment in Tokyo, a teenage girl named Hannah sat with her mother, eyes glued to the TV. "Mom, are we going to die?" she whispered. Her mother hugged her tightly. "No, sweetheart. Humans don't give up. We fight for our home." Outside, the sky glowed faintly red as alien ships shifted position, blotting out the stars. The world felt smaller, trapped under the weight of a powerful enemy watching from above. Hours passed. The entire planet waited for the next strike. Then, without warning, dozens of alien ships powered up their weapons. Energy beams charged, glowing brighter than the sun. Sirens wailed in cities worldwide. Military scrambled jets, missile silos opened, and terrified civilians ran for cover. In a command center deep underground, radar operator shouted, "They're locking on 2 targets worldwide." The general on duty barked orders, his voice cutting through the panic. "Activate every defense system we have. Do not let them fire first." But it was too late. A single alien ship, larger than any human battleship, dove toward Earth's atmosphere. Its weapons burned like fire, aiming at a small satellite relay station orbiting close to the planet. The beams sliced through it in an instant, sending flaming debris crashing toward Earth. News reporters barely had time to speak before the feed cut out, placed by the alien voice once again. "This is the future of your planet, unless you surrender." In a secret hangar in Russia, a group of pilots prepared their experimental fighter jets. One of them, a grizzled veteran named Anton, tightened his helmet strap and muttered under his breath. "They think we'll kneel," he said. "They've never met humans before." Beside him, a younger pilot asked nervously, "Do you think we can win?" Anton gave a grim smile. "We don't have to win today. We just have to show them Earth won't die quietly." The jets roared to life, streaking into the night sky toward the alien fleet. Humanity's first act of defiance had begun. On the other side of the planet, people watched the alien ships through telescopes and phone cameras. The sky seemed full of silent predators, waiting to strike again. Fear wrapped around every heart like chains. But under that fear, something else began to grow. Anger, determination, hope. The aliens believed humans were weak, divided, too scared to fight, but they were wrong. Something about this planet, about its people, made surrender impossible. Earth wasn't just a world, it was home, and home was worth fighting for. As dawn approached, the first human missiles launched from hidden bases. Alien ships shifted in surprise, their perfect formation, breaking for the first time. The invasion had begun, but so had humanity's resistance. Somewhere high above the planet, on the bridge of the alien mothership, voice dripping with disbelief. Every other world fell without question. Why do these creatures resist? The second alien stared down at the glowing planet below. "Because," he said softly, "they are not like the others." And with that, the battle for Earth truly began. The sun rose slowly over Earth, painting the sky in shades of gold and red. But this morning was not like any other. The alien fleet still hovered above the planet, silent and menacing. People around the world stared at the sky with fear in their hearts, knowing that at any moment, invaders could strike again. Deep inside a hidden command bunker beneath Washington, D.C., tension filled the air. Screens displayed the alien ships' positions. Generals and world leaders stood in silence, watching the slow movement of the enemy fleet. No one spoke until the president finally broke the quiet. "We cannot wait for them to make the next move," she said firmly. "If we do nothing, they will destroy us city by city." A general stepped forward. "Ma'am, we have a plan. It's risky, but it might be our only chance." "Explain," the president ordered. "We have identified a small alien frigate on the edge of their formation. If we can take it out, we'll show them that Earth can fight back. Maybe, just maybe, we can make them fear us." The president took a long breath. "Do it. Humanity has been underestimated for the last time." Cross. The globe militaries prepared for the operation. Fighter jets roared down runways, submarines rose silently from the depths, and missile silos opened, ready to launch. This was not a declaration of war. War had already started when the aliens destroyed the space station. This was humanity's answer. In a dark hangar in Nevada, Anton, the experienced pilot from the first night, climbed into his fighter jet. The cockpit lights glowed around him as engineers rushed to make final checks. His young co-pilot, Mason, looked nervous as he strapped in beside Anton. "Sir, do you really think we can hurt them?" Anton smirked slightly, his eyes never leaving the alien fleet on his heads-up display. Every empire thinks it's unbeatable until someone proves it wrong. Minutes later, 12 fighter jets, modified with stolen alien technology from a past crash site, soared into the sky. Their mission was clear: get close to the alien frigate, strike hard, and get out alive. No one truly believed survival was guaranteed. As the jets ascended, the radio crackled with the command center's voice. All units, you are cleared. For engagement, make Earth proud. The jets broke through the clouds, heading straight toward the massive glowing fleet that filled the heavens. For the first time, humans were flying toward the invaders, not away. Meanwhile, on the alien mothership, the High Commander stood in silence, observing. A soldier approached him, bowing slightly. "Commander, human ships are moving toward our patrol vessel," the alien soldier reported. The commander tilted his head, puzzled. "Primitive machines? They dare attack us?" His voice carried amusement, not fear. "Yes, Commander. Their weapons are old by our standards. They cannot win." For glowing eyes narrowed. "Perhaps." Curious creatures. Human jets approached fast, skimming just above the atmosphere. Mason's hands trembled on the controls. "They're scanning us," he said nervously. "We won't get close." Anton's voice was calm, almost cold. "Not if we make them chase us first. Watch this." He flipped a switch, firing a volley of decoy missiles that exploded brightly in the vacuum of space. The alien frigate shifted, scanning the fake targets, opening a small gap in its energy shield. "That's it," Anton said through gritted teeth. "Lock onto that gap and fire everything." The jets unleashed a storm of missiles, streaking like fire across the void. Several slammed into the frigate's weak spot, tearing through its hull. A massive explosion followed, bright enough to be seen from Earth's surface all over the planet. People watching the live satellite feed gasped. Humanity had done the impossible. They had destroyed an alien warship. For a brief moment, hope replaced fear. But the victory lasted only seconds. The alien fleet stirred like a nest of angry wasps. Massive ships turned toward the human jets, charging their weapons. One pilot screamed over the radio, "They've locked onto us." Evasive maneuvers. Laser beams cut through the void, slicing one jet cleanly in half. Another exploded in a burst of fire, leaving only silence on the coms. Anton gritted his teeth. "Keep moving. Don't give them a straight shot," Mason's voice cracked with. "Panic. We're not going to make it." "We will," Anton growled, swerving hard as a beam of energy passed inches from their wing. "We have to." The surviving jets broke formation, dodging and diving as alien weapons fired relentlessly. 2 more jets went down, leaving only Anton's and 3 others still flying. Back in the command bunker, the president watched in horror as red lights marked the fallen pilots. "We're losing them," she whispered. A general turned to her. "We've proven we can hurt them, ma'am. That's something." But the president shook her head. "No, we need more than just something. We need a way to win." Anton's jet finally reached Earth's atmosphere, smoke trailing behind it from near misses. Mason exhaled a shaky breath as they crossed the clouds. "We made it," he said softly. "Not all of us," Anton replied, his voice heavy. He stared at the empty sky behind them, where their comrades had vanished. But their sacrifice had done more than destroy one ship. Across Earth, millions cheered, seeing the first alien vessel fall. Humanity had drawn blood. The invaders had learned that this planet would not go quietly. On the alien mothership, the High Commander slammed a clawed hand onto the console. "One of our frigates destroyed." "By primitives," he hissed. "Unacceptable." A second-in-command hesitated. "Commander, perhaps these humans are more dangerous than we thought." The commander's glowing eyes burned with fury. "No, they are ants with fire. I will crush their hope before it spreads." He pointed at the planet below. "Prepare the dreadnought. Show them what true power looks like." That night, across Earth, celebrations slowly faded as strange lights appeared in the sky once more. This time, the alien fleet moved closer. A massive, terrifying ship emerged from the darkness, dwarfing all others. Its weapons glowed brighter than the sun. In the bunker, alarms blared. A scientist stared at the readings in disbelief. "That ship, it's 10 times larger than the one we destroyed. Its weapons could level a continent." The general slammed his fist on the table. They're coming for revenge. The president turned to her commanders, her face pale but full of steel. We fight harder. We fight with everything we have. But deep down, everyone in that room felt the same cold fear. The first victory had woken a monster. The next battle could decide the future of humanity. Somewhere in the ruins of the destroyed space station, floating in the darkness, a damaged alien escape pod drifted silently. Inside, a wounded alien whispered into a communicator. They fight. They resist like no other world, it said weakly. We were wrong about these humans. Static filled the pod as it went dark, but the message had already been sent, far away, to someone listening. Someone who might not want this war to continue. And so, while humanity prepared for the next attack, an unexpected question began to stir among the stars. Were all aliens truly united in this invasion? Or could some become humanity's only chance at survival? The world was holding its breath. After humanity's first small victory in space, hope had started to spread. People believed maybe Earth could fight back and survive. But that fragile hope came crashing down the moment the alien dreadnought entered orbit. The ship was a monster. 10 times larger than anything humanity had seen before, with weapons that glowed like miniature suns. Even from the ground, people could see it, a dark shadow moving across the night sky, blotting out the stars inside the Washington, D.C. bunker. Fear hung in the air like a heavy fog. Screens flashed red as satellites tracked the dreadnought's movements. World leaders argued over what to do next. We cannot win against that thing, a British general shouted. One shot and it will wipe out an entire city, a Russian commander slammed his hand on the table. If we surrender, we're already dead. The president stood at the head of the room, eyes hard and cold. We fight, she said, her voice steady. We fight because there's no other choice. As she spoke, far in the shadows of the bunker, someone else was listening. Someone who didn't want humanity to fight at all. Someone who had already chosen a side, and it wasn't Earth's. A secret till hours later. In a dark alley on the outskirts of New York, a man in a black coat whispered into a small device hidden in his sleeve. His name was Drake, a former military intelligence officer. He had once been loyal to his country, but fear had changed him. Fear of the aliens, fear of the coming destruction, fear that humanity had no chance. The humans think they can win. Drake said quietly, looking up at the faint glow of the alien fleet above. But they can't. I'll make sure of it. Send me the coordinates for the meeting point. A cold metallic voice replied through the device. Agreed. Deliver the codes, and you will be spared when this planet burns. Drake swallowed hard. He didn't want to see humanity destroyed. But he didn't believe in fighting either. If betraying a few secrets kept him alive, then so be it. What Drake didn't know was that someone was following him through the shadows. The first clue miles away. Anton, the war veteran who had led humanity's first strike, sat in a military safe house with Mason and 2 other surviving pilots. They were still shaken from the battle, but there was no time to rest. A knock on the door brought in a stern-faced intelligence officer. We've got a leak, the officer said bluntly. Alien ships have been avoiding our defenses, like they know where everything is. Somebody is feeding them information. Anton's jaw tightened. You're saying we have a traitor? The officer nodded grimly. And if we don't stop them, the next battle will be over before it begins. Mason looked uneasy. But who would betray Earth now after what they've done to us? Anton stared out the window at the glowing alien dreadnought above. Fear makes people do strange things, he muttered. And fear is everywhere right now. Dangerous meeting that night, Drake made his way to an abandoned warehouse on the edge of the city. The air felt heavy, unnatural. Faint blue light flickered inside. He hesitated for a moment, then stepped through the door. At the far end of the room stood a tall figure cloaked in shadows. It wasn't human. Its eyes glowed like molten silver, and its voice was sharp, mechanical, yet strangely calm. You have what we asked for? The alien envoy said. Drake nodded quickly, holding up a small data drive. Coordinates of every major human missile site. Just like you wanted, but you promise me safety when this is over? The alien tilted its head, studying him. You will live as long as you obey. Drake swallowed hard and stepped forward to hand over the drive. But before he could, a loud click echoed in the darkness. Drop it! Anton's voice boomed from the shadows. He stepped into the light pistol, aimed at Drake's head. Mason was beside him, weapon ready. Drake froze, panic in his eyes. Anton, you don't understand. We can't win. I'm just trying to survive. Anton's face was stone. We all want to survive. Selling out your planet? That's not surviving. It's killing every last one of us. The alien envoy hissed, its glowing eyes narrowing. Humans always turning on each other. Weak. Predictable. Anton shifted his gun toward the alien. Not all of us, he said coldly, pulling the trigger. The bullet struck the alien's armor, staggering it but not killing it. The room exploded into chaos. Drake ran for cover. The alien pulled out a glowing weapon, and Mason fired his rifle in rapid bursts. Sparks and smoke filled the air. Finally, Anton tackled the alien to the ground, grabbing its communicator. Your masters, he snarled. Earth isn't for sale. It! Then he smashed the device into pieces. The alien let out an inhuman screech before collapsing. Lifeless Drake slumped to the floor, shaking, his betrayal laid bare. I just wanted to live, he whispered. Anton glared at him. And fight for your life like the rest of us. Or get out of the way. The dreadnought moves moments later. Alarms blared across every military base on Earth. The alien dreadnought was shifting position, slowly turning toward the planet's surface in the Washington bunker. A terrified radar operator shouted, It's locking weapons on Los Angeles. The president's face turned pale. They're going to make an example of us, she whispered. They're going to burn a city to show they can. Generals barked orders, scrambling missile defenses. But everyone knew it wasn't enough. The dreadnought's weapons were far beyond anything humanity could counter. Suddenly, a new signal appeared on their screens. A strange, scrambled transmission coming not from Earth, but from another alien ship, one not part of the main fleet. Voice came through, garbled but clear enough to understand. Humans. Do not fire. We can help. We do not all serve the Empire. The bunker went silent. A second alien faction. Allies among the enemy. The president leaned forward, eyes wide. Patch that through now. If there's a chance they can stop this attack, we take it. Drake's redemption back in the warehouse. Drake sat in handcuffs. No guilt heavy on his face as Anton prepared to take him back to headquarters. I thought I was saving myself, Drake said quietly. But I almost doomed everyone else. Didn't look at him. You still can help. Tell us everything you know about their fleet, their codes, their weapons. If there's even a small chance to use it against them, we need it now. For the first time, Drake hesitated, not out of fear, but out of something else. Determination. He gave a slow nod. Then let's make them regret ever coming here. In orbit, the alien dreadnought's weapons began to glow, energy gathering. For a devastating strike, people on the ground screamed, thinking the end had come. But just as the weapon reached full charge, another alien vessel, smaller, sleeker, and faster, shot out of the darkness and fired on the dreadnought's engines. The giant ship lurched sideways, its beam missing Los Angeles by miles. Tearing harmlessly into the ocean instead, gasps of relief echoed across Earth. Someone up there had saved them. The scrambled voice returned, this time clearer. We are not your enemies. If you wish to live, we must work together. The Empire will not stop, unless we stop it for good. On the alien mothership, the High Commander roared in fury. Rebel traitors, he screamed. Find them, destroy them, burn this planet to ashes. But deep in the stars, something had changed. The aliens were no longer a single unstoppable force. A fracture had appeared in their empire. And for the first time, humanity had not just hope, but potential allies. The war for Earth had just begun. But the battle for the entire galaxy might not be far behind. The world was holding its breath again. Hours had passed since the alien dreadnought nearly wiped Los Angeles off the map. Panic had spread worldwide, but so had something else, rumors of a strange transmission from space, one that claimed not All aliens were the enemy in the Washington, D.C. bunker. The president sat at the center of a crowded war room, surrounded by generals, scientists, and communications experts. The mysterious alien signal still echoed through the speakers, fragmented, but unmistakable. We are not your enemies. If you wish to live, we must work together. The room was silent for a long moment until General Harris finally spoke. Ma'am, it could be a trap. The Empire could be baiting us into lowering our defenses. The president's eyes were fixed on the monitor where the small rebel ship hovered far from the main alien fleet, its signals weak and unsteady. Or it could be our only chance to survive, she said quietly. Open a secure channel. Let's hear what they have to say. A dangerous transmission static filled the room as technicians worked furiously to stabilize the signal. Finally, a distorted face appeared on the screen, not human, but alien, with dark gray skin and 4 glowing eyes that flickered softly like embers. I am Kale, the alien said in a low, urgent tone. I do not serve the empire that attacks. Your world, my people once did, but no longer. They destroy planets, they enslave entire species. We rebelled long ago, but they hunt us like animals. The president leaned closer. If you're telling the truth, why contact us now? Kale's expression hardened. Because your world will not survive without help. The dreadnought above your planet is only the first. More fleets are coming. You cannot fight them alone. Harris scoffed. And we're just supposed to trust you? For all we know, you're here to finish what your friends started? Kale's glowing eyes burned brighter. If we wanted you dead, your planet would already be ashes. He paused, his voice dropping lower. I am risking my life to speak to you. The Empire does not tolerate traitors. The president studied the alien carefully, then gave a single nod. If you truly want to help, then prove it. Show us how to fight them. Kale hesitated for a long moment before finally saying, then, meet me. But no, this if they discover our alliance. They will destroy us both. The meeting plan, the War Council was divided. Half believed Kale was genuine, desperate for allies against a ruthless empire. The other half feared it was a trap, designed to expose humanity's leaders. Anton sat in the corner of the room, arms crossed. He had been invited after his success in the first strike. When the arguing grew too loud, he finally stood up. Look, he said firmly. We can sit here and guess all night, or we can take a risk. We've been playing defense since the day they arrived. This is the first time someone from their side has reached out to us. If we don't take this chance, we might not get another. The president nodded slowly. Anton's right. We go, but we send a small armed team, not a large force. It's a trap. We fight our way out. Mason glanced at Anton nervously. You're volunteering for this, aren't you? Anton gave a grim half-smile. If someone's going to walk into an alien meeting, might as well be the guy who's already pissed them off once. The journey 2 nights later, under cover of darkness, a modified human shuttle lifted off from a secret launch site in Siberia. Aboard were Anton Mason, 2 elite soldiers, and Dr. Patel, a brilliant scientist tasked with understanding alien tech. The shuttle's destination was a remote section of space, far from Earth, near the shadow of an abandoned moon. Kale's rebel ship was waiting there alone. As they approached, tension filled the cabin.
Mason
Kept glancing at the radar, expecting an ambush at any second. This feels like suicide, he muttered. Anton checked his weapon calmly. Then, we go down swinging. The shuttle docked with the alien vessel, its strange metallic surface glowing faintly. A hatch opened, revealing Kale, flanked by 2 other aliens with similar glowing eyes. They held no weapons, but the air was heavy with unease. Kale raised his hands slowly. I come in peace, he said in careful English. We have no time for fear. The Empire is already preparing another strike on your cities. Anton stepped forward, eyes hard. Then tell us how to stop them. The truth about the Empire inside Kale's ship. Holographic maps displayed hundreds of alien war fleets moving across the galaxy.
Yes.
Earth was just one of many targets. The Empire conquers, consumes, enslaves, Kale explained grimly. They do not negotiate. They do not forgive. We believe they are destined to rule every star. Dr. Patel leaned forward, studying the maps. How did you break free from them? Kale's expression darkened. We didn't. We ran. My people were once warriors for the Empire. We burned worlds for them. But when we refused to kill an innocent species, they turned on us. We've been fugitives ever since. Tan frowned. So you know their weaknesses. Kale gave a slow nod. Yes, but you lack the technology to exploit them. We can change that. We work together. Before Anton could reply, alarms suddenly blared on Kale's ship. The lights flashed red. One of Kale's rebels shouted in their native language, fear clear in their voice. What's happening? Mason asked, gripping his weapon. Kale's eyes widened. The Empire has found us. They're coming. The ambush outside the moon's shadow, 3 alien Empire ships appeared, weapons glowing menacingly. They had been tracking Kale the whole time. They'll destroy both our ships, Kale said urgently. We have to run. Anton shook his head. No, we can't keep running forever. We need a win, even a small one. Kale hesitated, then pressed a button on his console. A hidden compartment opened, revealing strange, powerful-looking weapons. Take these, he said, tossing one to Anton. They'll pierce their shields. But we only have enough power for 1 shot each. Make it count. The human shuttle and Kale's rebel craft turned sharply, flying toward an asteroid field. Enemy fire streaked past them, lighting up the darkness. The human crew gritted there, teeth, adrenaline surging as they prepared to fire. Target their engines, Anton ordered. If we can't kill them, at least slow them down. With deadly precision, Anton's shot hit the lead enemy ship, disabling it instantly. Mason followed with another blast, forcing the second to retreat. The third ship charged forward, weapons locked on Kale's craft at the last moment. Kale's co-pilot spun the ship hard, firing one final shot that tore through the enemy's core. The ship exploded in a silent flash of light, breathing heavily. Kale glanced at Anton. Perhaps. Humans are more dangerous than I believed. Anton gave a half smirk. Get used to it. An uneasy alliance with the threat. Gone for now, the 2 ships drifted quietly in space. Kale turned to the humans, his tone serious. The Empire will not forgive this, he warned. They will send more, stronger ships. Their goal will not change. They want your planet. Anton looked back steadily. Then you'd better teach us everything you know, because next time, we're not running. Kale nodded slowly, as if making a decision he had feared for a long time. Very well. I will share our weapons, our tactics, even the Empire's secrets. But know this, when you fight them, you fight an enemy that has never lost a war. Anton tightened his grip on his weapon. Then it's about time someone handed them their first defeat. As the rebel ship set course for Earth, the fragile alliance began to take shape. Humanity had found its first alien allies, but the cost of this friendship would be high, and deep within the Empire's fleet. The High Commander was already preparing a new Plan 1 far deadlier than anything Earth had seen before. This war wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about defiance. It was about proving that no empire, no matter how vast, could ever make humanity bow. Earth had never seen a sunrise like this one. The sky was still scarred from alien warship burns. Pieces of destroyed satellites fell like shooting stars, and fear lingered in every breath. But this morning, for the first time since the invasion began, there was a flicker of real hope. The hope came from a single alien ship, now docked at a secret human base in Siberia, the ship of Kale and his rebel crew. The sight of it sent waves of disbelief around the world. Humans and aliens were working side by side, not as enemies, but as allies. Inside the underground base, tensions were high. Soldiers kept their hands close to their weapons. Scientists stared in awe at alien technology far beyond anything humanity had ever built. But suspicion was heavy in the air. This could still be a trick. General Harris muttered to the president as they walked through the base's control room. The Empire could be using these rebels to get close to our defenses. The president glanced at Kale, who stood across the room, speaking quietly with Anton and Mason. Or, she said softly, This could be the only reason humanity survives another day. The Plinkal's voice was low but firm as he explained the strategy. A holographic map floated above the table, showing the alien dreadnought in orbit. The Empire's weapon core takes time to charge before firing, Kale explained. It's heavily shielded, but there is one weakness this section here. He pointed to a glowing point on the hologram. If we can destroy it, the dreadnought will lose most of its firepower. Anton studied the map with narrowed eyes. And how exactly do we get close enough to hit that weak spot before they vaporize us? Kale gave a slow, grim smile. You don't. We do. My ship can slip through their scanning fields if I time it perfectly, but I'll need cover fire. From your fleet to distract them? Mason raised an eyebrow. Fleet? What fleet? Our space force is 12 fighters and some old missiles. That's it. Kale's glowing eyes shifted toward the humans. Then you will fight like no other world ever has. The Empire believes you are weak. Prove them wrong. Preparing for. War for the next 24 hours? The underground base was alive with frantic energy. Engineers fused human and alien technology, creating hybrid weapons that could punch through the Empire's shields. Pilots were briefed on suicide missions they knew they might not return from. Soldiers painted messages on their ships for Earth never kneel, we fight back. Drake, the former traitor now working to redeem himself, stood in front of Anton, handing him a small device. This is the Empire's communication codebook, Drake said quietly. I stole it before they caught me meeting with their envoy. With this, you can intercept their battle signals. Anton took it with a steady nod. You want redemption? This is a good start. For a moment, Drake looked like he wanted to say more, but the alarm blared, cutting through the air like a blade. It was time. The battle begins. Earth's small fleet launched first, barely 12 fighter jets and modified shuttles armed with missiles that looked pitiful compared to alien warships. Behind them, Kale's rebel ship rose silently into the dark sky, its alien engines glowing faintly in space. The Empire's fleet waited like hungry predators. The massive dreadnought loomed above the planet, charging its weapon for another devastating strike. The human pilots could hear the fear in each other's voices over the radio. But not a single one turned back. Targeting their shields, Anton called out, his voice steady. Make them look at us, not at Kale. Missiles streaked toward the alien cruisers, exploding harmlessly against their shields, but forcing the Empire to respond. Enemy fighters swarmed forward like hornets, blasting at the human ships. Sky turned into chaos. Mason shouted over the comms, We're drawing their fire, but they're too many. We won't last long. Anton gritted his teeth, diving his fighter past an alien beam that barely missed his wing. Just hold the line. Kale needs more time. Into the fire while humanity fought desperately outside. Kale piloted his sleek rebel ship toward the dreadnought, slipping through blind spots in their scanners. His co-pilot glanced at him nervously. They'll detect us any moment, though, aliens said in their native tongue. Kale's eyes burned with determination. Then we don't give them a moment. He activated the stolen human device Drake had given them, jamming the Empire's communications for just a few precious seconds. It wasn't much, but it bought Kale the time to reach the weapon core. Dreadnought's immense weapon began glowing brighter, preparing to fire on Earth. The rebel ship charged forward, racing against time. Sacrifice in the void. Back in the main battle, human ships were being torn apart one by one. Mason's fighter took a direct hit, alarms blaring as smoke filled the cockpit. I'm not going to make it, shouted. Anton's voice came back, firm and unshaken. You're not dying today, Mason. Stay with me. But then a larger alien cruiser turned its weapons toward Kale's ship. If it fired, the entire mission would fail. Without hesitation, one of the human pilots, Calson Hawk, broke formation and dove straight at the cruiser. Hawk, no, Tan yelled. Tell. My kids, I love them, Hawk said calmly. His fighter rammed the alien cruiser at full speed, exploding in a massive fireball that bought Kale the opening he needed. Everyone went silent for a moment. But there was no time to grieve. The mission wasn't over. The impossible shot Kale reached. the weapon core's access point, weaving through deadly enemy fire. The dreadnought's shields flared bright as he unleashed the last of his ship's firepower. Direct hit won't work, his co-pilot said desperately. The shields are regenerating too fast. Kale's hands flew over the controls, eyes burning with intensity. Then we overload them. He transmitted a signal to Anton. Now, fire everything you've got at the core coordinates. Anton didn't hesitate. Every remaining human fighter turned their weapons toward the dreadnought, launching their final barrage of missiles. The combined impact weakened the shields for a fraction of a second, just enough. Kale fired the last, most powerful alien torpedo straight into the exposed core. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the dreadnought erupted in a massive explosion, light flooding the darkness of space. The Empire's most terrifying weapon was gone. Victory. And warning, the surviving human ships limped back toward Earth, battered and broken but alive. People across the planet watched the explosion from the ground, cheering, crying, and hugging each other. For the first time, humanity had truly struck fear into the Empire. The Invincible Fleet had lost its greatest weapon to a ragtag group of humans and rebel traitors. But the celebration didn't last long. As the debris of the dreadnought drifted away, a transmission came from deep space, a message broadcast on every frequency. Cold and filled with fury, Earth has made its choice. The Empire does not forget. The Empire does not forgive. We are coming with everything. In the underground base, silence fell. Anton looked around at the exhausted pilots and soldiers, then turned to the president. This was just round one, he said grimly. The real war is still ahead of us. Kale stepped forward, his glowing eyes full of both warning and respect. And next time, the Empire will not underestimate you. But remember this, they never stop until their enemies are dust. The president stood tall, her voice unwavering. Then let the galaxy hear us now. We will never kneel. Far away, deep within the Empire's territory, massive fleets began to stir, preparing for the largest invasion Earth had ever faced. And somewhere among the stars, a darker force, something even Kale feared, was already on its way. The battle for survival had only just begun. 3 days had passed since the destruction of the dreadnought. On Earth, the victory felt hollow. Cities were still in ruins from earlier attacks. Millions mourned their dead. And above all, fear clung to every heart because the alien empire had promised vengeance, and no one doubted they would keep that promise. The sun was just beginning to rise over New York when it happened. Without warning, the sky split open. Massive alien warships emerged from hyperspace, one after another, blotting out the stars. The fleet was unlike anything humanity had ever seen before. Hundreds of colossal battleships, carriers bristling with weapons, and dreadnoughts larger than mountains. The invasion wasn't coming. It was already here. Global panic across the world. Sirens wailed as people poured into underground shelters. News broadcasts turned chaotic, showing blurry footage of alien ships descending toward major cities. In the Washington, D.C. bunker, chaos reigned. Generals shouted orders. Aides ran between computer stations. The president stood frozen for just a moment, staring at the overwhelming numbers on the screen. How many? She finally asked, her voice quiet but deadly serious. A radar officer swallowed hard. Current count, at least 300 capital ships, thousands of fighters. More are still arriving. General Harris slammed his fist on the table. We're finished. We can't win against that. Anton, standing in the corner with Mason and Kale, spoke coldly. We don't win by matching their numbers. We win by making them bleed for every inch of this planet. The president turned. To Kale, you fought these monsters before. How do they attack a world? Kale's glowing eyes flickered with dread. They destroy your defenses first, and they bomb your cities until survivors surrender or starve. If you refuse, hesitated, his voice dropping lower, they burn your planet's surface to ash. A heavy silence fell. Everyone knew there would be no surrender, not after what the Empire had already done. The first wave months later, Earth's skies lit up with fire. Alien carriers opened their bays, releasing thousands of smaller attack craft that rained energy blasts onto cities. Skyscrapers toppled. Whole neighborhoods vanished in brilliant explosions. In New York, civilians ran for their lives as alien drop pods slammed into the streets, opening to release towering armored soldiers armed with energy blades and plasma cannons. Humanity wasn't just fighting in space anymore. The war had reached the ground. Anton led a squad of resistance fighters through the burning streets. Mason covered his flank, firing at alien troops from behind shattered cars. Too many, Mason shouted as alien reinforcements landed. We can't hold this position. We don't hold, Anton growled, throwing a grenade that blasted 2 aliens into pieces. Delay them until evac ships get the civilians out. Move. Above them, human fighter jets screamed across the sky, engaging alien drones. Scored kills, but most were shot down within seconds. The invasion was overwhelming. A new weapon of terror in orbit, the Empire's flagship hung like a predator waiting to strike. On its command bridge, the High Commander watched Earth's defenses crumble with cold satisfaction. Enough games, he hissed. Deploy the Scorchers. Moments later, massive orbital weapons began descending into the atmosphere. They didn't just fire blasts. They released a horrifying weapon, beams of white-hot energy that burned everything they touched, turning entire city blocks to glass in seconds. From London to Beijing, entire regions vanished in light. Humanity's desperation turned to horror inside the bunker. Scientists stared at the incoming data in shock. They're not just invading, one whispered. They're sterilizing the planet. The president's face went pale. They mean to wipe us out entirely. The resistance strikes back despite the chaos. Small victories were won. Resistance groups around the world set ambushes for alien ground forces, using guerrilla tactics and improvised explosives. Civilians fought with whatever they had, refusing to bow even as their cities fell. Anton's squad managed to rescue dozens of trapped civilians, leading them through sewer tunnels to safety. But every step was paid for in blood. When they finally reached the extraction point, Anton collapsed against a wall, exhausted. His armor scorched and dented. We can't keep this up, Mason said, his voice shaking. There's too many. We're losing everything. Anton looked up at the alien fleet above, his jaw set. Then we stop thinking about winning and start thinking about hurting them so bad they regret coming here. Kale's secret back at the underground base. Kale stared at a holographic projection of the Empire's flagship. His glowing eyes narrowed as if weighing a terrible choice. Finally, he turned to the president. There is one way to end this battle quickly. Is it? She demanded. Kale hesitated. The Empire's fleet is coordinated through their flagship's overmind AI. If we destroy it, their forces will lose cohesion. They'll still outnumber you, but their attack will falter. You could drive them off. Dr. Patel frowned. Then why didn't you tell us this before? Kale's expression darkened. Because that AI is not just a machine. It is a live, living entity fused with my people's technology. Destroying it is not just killing a program, it's killing a mind. And doing so could unleash something worse. The president's eyes hardened. Worse than extinction? Kale said nothing. The final push. Anton, Mason, Kale, and a small team of human commandos boarded a captured alien transport and launched toward the flagship. The plan was desperate. Fight their way inside, plant a bomb near the Overmind's core, and escape before the fleet reacted. As they approached, alien fighters swarmed them, rocking the ship with blasts. We're not going to make it, yelled. Anton gritted his teeth. We make it or we die trying. With Kale's precise piloting, they slipped through enemy lines and crashed directly into one of the flagship's docking bays. The team charged out, weapons blazing, cutting through alien guards in brutal close-quarters combat. Finally, they reached the Overmind chamber, vast room pulsing with energy, where a massive crystalline structure hovered, glowing with strange light. It almost felt alive, whispering faintly in a language none of them understood. Kale hesitated, his hands trembling. She was once my kind, he said quietly, before the Empire bound her to their will. Destroying this is like killing a prisoner who can never be freed. Anton stared at the core, then at Kale. If we don't, we all die. Kale closed his eyes, then handed Anton the detonator. Then may the galaxy forgive us. A twist before Anton could set the charge. The Overmind's voice filled the chamber, mechanical, but soft, sorrowful. Humans. Kale, do not destroy me. I can end this war another way. The team froze in shock. Mason glanced at Anton. It's talking to us. The Overmind's glow pulsed brighter. I am not your enemy. The Empire enslaves me, forces me to control their fleets. Free me, and I will make them leave your world forever. Kale's eyes widened. It's true. We can break the control links. She could shut their ships down. Anton stared at the detonator, torn between choices. Free it, or blow it up and end this once and for all. The Overmind's voice became urgent. Choose quickly. The High Commander comes, and he will not let you leave alive. Outside alarms blared as enemy reinforcements closed in. Humanity's fate now rested on a single decision, one that could save the planet, or doom it forever. The Overmind's glow pulsed brighter, filling the chamber with eerie light. Its voice, soft yet urgent, echoed in every corner. Free me, and I will stop this slaughter. Destroy me. The Empire will send 10 more fleets to finish. What? They started. Anton's hand tightened around the detonator. Every instinct screamed at him to push the button and end the threat forever. But something in the Overmind's voice, something painfully human, made him hesitate. Before he could decide, a heavy metallic door at the far end of the chamber exploded inward. A towering alien figure stepped through the smoke, flanked by elite Imperial soldiers in black armor. The High Commander had arrived. He was massive, over 8 feet tall, clad in living armor that pulsed with energy. His 4 glowing eyes scanned the humans with cold disdain, his voice a deep, guttural growl. Insects, he snarled, his voice booming through the chamber. You dare defile the heart of my fleet. Anton raised his weapon. We dare fight for our planet. The commander's clawed hand tightened around a jagged energy blade. Then you will die screaming like the rest of your kind. The battle begins without warning. The High Commander lunged with terrifying speed. His blade clashed against Anton's rifle, knocking it aside like a toy. Mason opened fire, but shimmering energy shields deflected every shot. Kale roared, charging the commander with alien precision strikes, but even he was thrown back with a single crushing blow. Fall back. Anton shouted, rolling behind a piece of cover as plasma blasts tore through the chamber. The elite soldiers advanced, forcing the humans to fight on the move. The Overmind's voice cut through the chaos, urgent and strained. My control links are weakening. Free me now, or none of you will leave this place alive. Anton ducked under enemy fire, glaring at Kale. Can you hack it? Kale's glowing eyes narrowed. Maybe, but I'll need time. Then buy it, Anton said grimly, raising his weapon and firing at the incoming soldiers. Close quarters fury, the fight became brutal and desperate. Mason tackled an alien soldier to the ground, stabbing a stolen plasma blade through its armor. Blood thick and dark blue splattered the floor. Anton wrestled with another, firing point blank into its chest. The High Commander, however, was unstoppable. He moved like a hurricane of blades and energy blasts, cutting through human and alien. Rebels alike, he finally turned his glowing gaze on Anton, his voice dripping with contempt. Your species is nothing. A mistake of evolution. When this war is over, no one will even remember your name. Anton spat blood, gripping his weapon tightly. Then let this mistake be the one that kills you, he charged, firing everything he had but the commanders. Shields deflected it easily. The alien warlord laughed darkly, lifting Anton by the throat with one massive hand. Weak, he growled, preparing to crush him. But before he could, Mason fired a high-energy rifle stolen from a fallen soldier. The shot ripped through the commander's shoulder, forcing him to drop Anton with a furious roar. Kale's choice, meanwhile, Kale had reached the Overmind's interface. Strange glowing tendrils connected the AI to the ship's systems like veins. He placed his hands on the console, his face twisted with concentration. "I can feel her pain," Kale whispered. "She's been enslaved for centuries, forced to kill for them." The Overmind's voice trembled. "Free me, and I will end this war." Kale looked toward Anton, who was still fighting for his life. "If I sever the link, she'll have control over the entire fleet," Kale shouted. "But if she betrays us, Earth will burn faster than ever." Anton gritted his teeth. "Do it. We don't have time." Kale took a deep breath, pressed his hands deeper into the console, and began the process. Sparks flew as the chamber shook violently. The Overmind screamed a sound of agony and liberation as centuries of chains shattered one by one. The commander's rage, the High Commander realized what was happening. His roar shook the chamber like thunder. "Traitors." He charged toward. Kale blade raised to kill him before the hack could finish. Anton dove in front, blocking the strike with his rifle. The blade sliced clean through it, missing Anton's head by inches. "You die first," the commander hissed. But before he could strike again, the Overmind's glow flared brilliantly. A shockwave of pure energy blasted out, throwing the High Commander and his soldiers back. The entire ship trembled violently. "I am free," the Overmind whispered, its voice filled with strange, almost childlike wonder. "The fleet is mine now." Alarms blared across the flagship. Through the shattered windows, they could see other Empire warships spinning out of formation, their weapons falling silent. The Overmind turned its glow toward Anton. "Go. I will force them to retreat." For a brief moment, humanity had hope. But then, it all went wrong. The betrayal Kale stepped away from the console, breathing heavily. "We did it," he said, almost in disbelief. "We might actually survive this." But as Anton turned toward him, he froze. Kale was no longer holding his weapon. Casually it was raised, aimed directly at Anton's chest. "Mason." Anton barked, spinning toward him, but too late. Mason was also pointing his rifle. At Anton, Anton's heart dropped like a stone. "What the hell are you doing?" Kale's glowing eyes flickered strangely, his voice distant and unnatural. "The Overmind speaks. She promises salvation for my people. I give her what she wants." The Overmind's voice filled the chamber again, but this time it wasn't soft or kind. It was cold, commanding. "One last chain binds me, the humans. End them, and I will free every enslaved species in this galaxy." Mason's hands trembled, as if fighting against invisible strings. "Anton, I can't stop my hands." Realization hit Anton like a punch to the gut. The Overmind wasn't just an AI, it could control minds. And now it was turning his closest allies against him, the High Commander. Battered, but not dead, began to laugh through broken teeth. "Fools," he spat. "You freed a devil far worse than me." Anton's finger hovered over the detonator. He had one chance to blow the core and destroy the Overmind before it was too late, but doing so would kill Kale, Mason, and possibly himself. The Overmind's glow pulsed brighter, its voice echoing like a chorus of ghosts. "Choose human. Save your friends, or save your world." Anton's hand shook, torn between impossible choices, as the chamber burned with light and chaos around him. Anton's breath came in ragged gasps, the weight of the detonator heavy in his trembling hand. Around him, the chamber pulsed with the Overmind's eerie glow, beautiful and terrifying at once. Mason and Kale stood frozen, their eyes glazed. Weapons still raised, but no longer in control. The Overmind's voice echoed, cold and relentless. "Save your friends, or save your world. The choice is yours." Anton's heart screamed in pain. His closest allies, men who had fought beside him through hell, were now puppets of an enemy he had just helped unleash. Yet the destruction of the Overmind could mean the end of this war, or the beginning of something far worse. His mind raced memories of past battles, whispered hopes. The faces of the people on Earth depending on him. "You can do this." The president's voice echoed in his memory. You carry the future of humanity? Breaking the chains, Anton clenched his jaw and slowly lowered the detonator. There had to be another way, Kale, he said, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. Can you fight it? That control, it's not just physical, it's in their minds. Kale blinked, as if waking from a trance. I feel it. The Overmind's grip is strong. If I try to break it, I might lose them more myself. Mason's face flickered between confusion and rage. He took a step forward, eyes wild. Anton, ... Don't trust him. Don't trust anyone. Anton raised his voice over the rising tension. Mason, listen to me. You're stronger than this. Fight it. Fight her. Kale's hands glowed faintly as he reached toward Mason, channeling an alien energy. Mason convulsed, struggling against invisible chains. Suddenly, Mason collapsed to his knees, gasping for breath. His eyes cleared for a moment, locking with Anton's. Anton, ... Ah, sorry, he whispered, then collapsed unconscious. Anton exhaled, relief flooding his chest. One down, he muttered. Now, Kale, ... Ah. The final battle, but Kale's glow suddenly flared violently. His eyes flashed with pain and fury as he screamed in alien language. Clutching his head, the Overmind's voice echoed inside Kale's mind, sharp, commanding. You belong to me now, rebel. Serve or die. Anton fired, but Kale was fast, dodging behind a pillar. No! Anton shouted, lowering his weapon. You're not like this. Kale's voice trembled, breaking free briefly. Help me. Please. ... Double quotes. Anton moved closer, reaching out. Kale lunged suddenly, knocking Anton to the ground. The fight turned desperate to the ground. The fight turned desperate man against friend, both struggling for control over their own wills. As they battled, the Overmind's power surged through the ship. Systems flickered, alarms blared, the flagship began to shake violently. Destruction within. Anton knew they had little time. If the Overmind fully controlled Kale, the rebellion would be crushed forever. Earth would fall, summoning every ounce of strength. Anton dodged a savage blow and grabbed a nearby alien blade. With a cry, he slashed at Kale's arm, breaking the Overmind's control for a brief second. Kale stumbled, his glowing eyes flickering back to their true color. Anton. Now. He gasped. Anton dashed to the console, beginning the sequence to sever the Overmind's connection to the fleet. The ship shook as explosions rocked the hull. You cannot win. The Overmind screamed, I am eternal. Sacrifice. Flagship began to collapse. Anton's breathing was ragged. Every second counted. As the connection severed, the Overmind's voice faded to a desperate whisper. The ships outside began to lose coordination. Fighters drifted, weapons shut down. But the Overmind was not finished. The core chamber started collapsing. Anton looked at Kale, who was bleeding and weak. We have to get out now. Kale nodded weakly, supporting Anton as they ran toward the exit. Mason stirred, groaning. Go, ... without me, ... No, Anton said firmly. We leave together. But as they reached the hangar, a massive explosion sealed the corridor behind them. Mason was cut off, trapped inside. Escape Anton and Kale barely made it into the captured transport. The ship shook violently as the flagship began to implode. Hold on, Kyle yelled, firing the engines. The transport blasted out of the collapsing flagship, escaping just as the entire ship exploded into a blinding supernova of energy. Outside, the remaining Empire ships faltered, retreating in confusion and chaos. Aftermath, a new threat back on Earth. The battered fleet cheered. The Overmind was destroyed, or so they thought. But deep in the wreckage of the flagship, a small dark device blinked quietly, untouched. Somewhere far away, a shadow stirred. A new power, older and darker than the Empire itself, was awakening. The war for the galaxy had only just begun. It had been 3 weeks since the destruction of the Overmind. The skies over Earth were finally clear. Wreckage from alien battleships still drifting in orbit. Silent reminders of the war humanity had barely survived, but the victory felt fragile. Every leader, every soldier, and every survivor knew deep down that this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. The Empire might have retreated, but the galaxy had noticed Earth, and not all who watched were enemies. Humanity knew how to fight. Anton stood on a cliffside near the ruins of what had once been a thriving city. The sun was setting behind shattered skyscrapers, painting the sky blood red. Mason, still recovering from injuries, walked up beside him. "Looks almost peaceful," Mason said quietly. "Almost." Anton didn't answer. His eyes were locked on the horizon, as if expecting another fleet to arrive any second. "Finally," he said, "peace doesn't last. Not after what we did out there." The message back at the underground base. Global leaders gathered with Kale, now officially humanity's first alien ally. They reviewed reports of Empire activity across the galaxy. General Harris pointed to a star map. "Their fleet is in disarray, but it's rebuilding faster than expected. Our intel suggests they've called for reinforcements from deep core sectors." Dr. Patel frowned. "Meaning they'll be back?" Kale's voice was grim. "The Empire never forgets. When they return, they won't underestimate you. They'll send every weapon they have." Before anyone could respond, alarms blared. A new transmission was being received, but it wasn't from the Empire. A hologram flickered to life in the center of the room. A figure appeared, cloaked in darkness, its face obscured by shifting shadows. Its voice was calm, almost soothing, but laced with menace. "Humans," it said. "You believe you won a victory, but the entity you destroyed was not your enemy. It was your protector, bound and controlled. Now the galaxy is exposed, and something far worse has been awakened." The hologram vanished before anyone could react, leaving a chilling silence in the room. Mason looked at Anton, unsettled. "I don't like the sound of that." Anton's eyes narrowed. "We just lit a beacon for every nightmare out there to come looking for us. A fragile alliance scale. Insisted on leaving Earth immediately to forge alliances before the Empire or this new enemy made their next move." The president reluctantly agreed, authorizing the launch of humanity's first interstellar expedition. The crew consisted of Anton, Mason, Kale, a handful of elite human soldiers, and Drake, the once disgraced intelligence officer now trying to redeem himself. Their mission: travel to neutral star systems, warn other species of the threat, and convince them to stand with Earth. But diplomacy was harder than war. On the planet Vesra, the ruling council listened to Anton's plea with skepticism. "You are new to this galaxy," one alien leader said, their voice a low hiss. "You have made powerful enemies already. Why should we die for you?" Anton's reply was firm. "'Cause the Empire won't stop with us. If Earth falls, you're next. And this new threat, whatever it is, won't care what species you are. It will burn everything." Some began to listen. Others saw only weakness. The enemy revealed as the team traveled from system to system. They heard whispers of a name spoken in fear: the Silent Ones. According to old legends, long before the Empire ruled, these beings hunted entire star systems, erasing all life without reason or mercy. They hadn't been seen for millennia, but strange signs were appearing again. Planets, ghost fleets, drifting silently through space. One night, aboard their ship, Kale showed Anton and Mason ancient star charts marked with blood-red warnings. "They do not conquer," Kale said quietly. "They erase. If the Overmind's chains were broken as we did, the Silent Ones would sense freedom in the galaxy and awaken." Mason rubbed his face, exhaling sharply. "Great, so we killed one monster, just to wake up something worse." Anton leaned forward. "Then we find them before they find us, and we figure out how to stop them." The trap their search led them to a remote system where they hoped to find an old rebel listening post. Instead, they found a graveyard of ships floating in silence. Drake frowned at the scanners. No life signs. No distress signals. Just emptiness. The crew boarded one of the derelict ships. Inside, the air was cold, the lights dead, and the halls littered with strange black markings burned into the walls, symbols no one recognized. Suddenly, Kale froze, his eyes glowing brighter. "We have to leave," he whispered. "Why?" Anton asked, scanning the hallway. Kale's voice shook. "Because they're here." The lights flickered. Shadows moved unnaturally, slithering across the walls, forming vague humanoid shapes. A whispering sound filled the ship knot in their ears. But in their minds, Mason raised his weapon, sweat dripping down his neck. "I've got a bad feeling about this." Then the shadows attacked. The silent ones, they moved like living darkness, intangible yet deadly, striking with tendrils of energy that tore through metal and armor alike. Bullets and plasma bolts passed through them as if they were smoke. The team fought desperately, retreating toward their ship. Anton grabbed Mason, dragging him as a shadow tendril sliced through his armor. Drake screamed as another shadow grabbed him, whispering words that drove him to madness. Kale unleashed alien energy blasts, pushing the creatures back just enough. For them to escape, they stumbled onto their ship, engines roaring as they blasted away from the cursed fleet as they reached safety. The whispers faded, leaving only silence and fear. Mason clutched his bleeding arm, staring wide-eyed at Anton. "What the hell were those things?" Kale's voice was grim, certain, like the silent ones. "And now they know your world exists." "The final warning back on Earth?" Anton recorded a message to send to every known star system. "To every species who can hear this, Earth has survived the Empire. But a far greater threat is rising, one that consumes all life, leaving nothing behind. If we don't unite now, none of us will have a future." The message was desperate but powerful. Some worlds pledged ships and weapons. Others ignored the call. The galaxy was divided, and time was running out. As Anton looked out at the stars from the bridge of their ship, Mason stood beside him. "We're in way over our heads, aren't we?" Anton didn't look away from the endless night. "Yeah, but if we don't fight, there won't be anything left to save." Far away in the depths of space, the silent ones gathered, their whispering, voices merging into a single chilling promise. "We are coming." And somewhere beyond even their reach, the Empire's high command planned its own revenge, preparing a new fleet and an unholy alliance of convenience with a single goal. Earth must burn. The war for humanity's survival had just entered a new, terrifying chapter. Months had passed since Anton's desperate call for unity. Humanity's warning had reached far and wide, and though many worlds ignored the message, a fragile alliance had formed. Ships of every size and shape now orbited Earth, preparing for the greatest battle in galactic history, but unity came at a price. Old enemies stood side by side, their trust fragile, their cooperation strained. Some joined only to settle old scores with the Empire, while others came fearing the Silent Ones more than anything else. In the War Council chamber aboard the flagship Resolute, Anton stood before a map of the stars, watching red markers multiply. With every passing hour, Mason and Kale flanked him, faces grim. Drake entered, slamming a data pad on the table. "It's confirmed. The Empire is moving in with a superfleet, 3 times larger than anything we've seen. And worse, they're not alone." Kale's glowing eyes darkened. "The Silent Ones?" Drake nodded. "Some kind of pact. The Empire's given them access to their ships. It's a nightmare alliance." Anton's voice was quiet, but full of steel. "Then this is it. Win here, or there's no galaxy left to fight for." The calm before the storm, hours before battle, Anton walked through the hangar where human and alien soldiers prepared for war. Drones were loaded, weapons checked, and fighters readied for launch. Mason approached, holding 2 small badges. "Made. These for us," he said, handing one to Anton. It bore the emblem of Earth, surrounded by a circle of stars. Anton smiled faintly. "For luck?" Mason smirked. "For family." Kale joined them, his expression solemn. "If we fall, let it be. Remember that we stood together, not as species, but as free people." The 3 clasped hands silently, the weight of what was coming settling over them. The enemy arrives. The galaxy seemed to hold its breath as sensors detected a massive hyperspace ripple. Moments later, the Empire's fleet emerged, a wall of dreadnoughts and warships stretching across the void. And then came the shadows. Silent ones. Not ships, but writhing masses of darkness shaped like nightmares. Drifted among the fleet, their presence chilling every living soul. The Empire's high. Commander appeared on every screen, his towering figure sneering. Today, Earth dies. Today, the galaxy learns fear again. Anton's voice answered, steady and defiant. Today, you learn that we don't kneel. Not to you, not to anyone. The fleets engaged. The battle of 1,000 suns. The void erupted. In light as plasma beams, missiles, and energy blasts tore through space. Human fighters darted between alien cruisers, weaving through deadly fire. Massive explosions lit up the darkness as ships on both sides were obliterated. Kale commanded a strike wing, using alien tactics to outmaneuver the Empire's destroyers. Mason led ground teams aboard enemy carriers, planting bombs that turned entire warships into fiery wreckage. Anton coordinated from the Resolute, directing Allied fleets, turning desperation into strategy. Every decision cost lives. Every victory felt like ashes. Then the Silent Ones moved. They slipped through shields and hulls, devouring crews, turning ships into lifeless husks. Entire battle groups vanished without a sound, consumed by living. Darkness, fear, threatened to crush morale. The Alliance began to falter, the betrayal and the chaos. A coded transmission was intercepted from Drake. Anton confronted him in the command deck, rage boiling in his chest. You sold us out? Drake's face twisted with guilt and defiance. They promised Earth safety. Deal with the Empire. We give up the others. They spare us. Mason punched him hard, sending him sprawling. We don't make deals. With monsters? But it was too late. Drake had fed coordinates of the Alliance's main fleet to the Empire. Moments later, a hidden armada emerged, flanking the Allied ships and unleashing devastation. Thousands died in minutes. Anton's heart hardened. Get him off my bridge, he said coldly as soldiers dragged Drake away. The turning point, the battle was all but lost. Ships burned, fleets shattered, screams filled every channel. But then Kale's voice came through. Urgent. There is one chance. The Silent Ones are bound to an anchor point, a single entity controlling their swarm. If we destroy it, they'll lose cohesion. Anton's mind raced. Where? Inside the Empire's flagship, Kale replied grimly, without hesitation. Anton, Mason, and Kale took a small strike craft and plunged into the heart of the enemy. Fleet inside the darkness, they boarded the flagship, fighting through hordes of Empire guards and shadow creatures alike. The corridors were alive with whispers, threatening to drive them mad. At last, they reached the core. Chamber and froze. The anchor was the Overmind, or what was left of it. Twisted and corrupted, fused with shadow energy, its voice was now a chorus of agony. Free me, or all is lost, it begged. Kale's face twisted in pain. We killed it once. Now it's suffering. Anton looked at Mason. If we destroy it, the Silent Ones vanish, but the explosion will take us with it. Mason grinned through bloodied teeth. Not much of a choice, is it? The last stand, the High Commander arrived, roaring in fury. The final battle was brutal, close quarters. Every blow fueled by desperation. Anton and Mason fought side by side, blades and blasters clashing with alien steel. Kale channeled every ounce of energy he had, blasting the commander into submission. But time was running out. The Overmind's power was growing unstable, threatening to rip the ship and the entire fleet apart. Anton looked at his friends. Go, I'll finish this. Mason shook his head. Not leaving you. Kale's voice was steady, resolute. We end it together. The three planted explosives around the corrupted core. The Overmind's last words were a whisper of relief. Thank you for setting me free. They triggered the detonators. The price of freedom, the explosion consumed the flagship, sending a wave of energy that obliterated the Silent Ones and shattered the Empire's fleet. The surviving Allied ships fled as a blinding light washed over the battlefield. When the light faded, silence reigned. The galaxy was free for now, but at a terrible cost. Anton Mason and Kale were gone. On Earth, the Alliance honored their sacrifice. Statues were built, stories told. Humanity was no longer prey, no longer a forgotten species. It was a symbol of defiance, of courage against impossible odds. But far away, beyond known space, something stirred. A darkness older than even the silent ones, watching, waiting. The war was over. But the fight for survival would never end.